Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Week in Review, where we talk about the games and everything that we did over the past week, give you short summaries, and then you can see, if you want to see the whole thing, the whole video, click the links in the description below. Let's get going.
Hey everybody, I'm Zee Garcia. Here's what I reviewed last week. So I reviewed Alluvium, which I rate a 6 out of 10. This is a flip and write style game in which you draw on your own board, but they also pass around the table. And so you are going to be drawing on everyone's board. There's one main interesting part in this, which is the push and pull between, do I help myself by being next to your pieces on your board and get points from that? But also, do I make it awkward enough on your own board that you cannot score a large, big connected area? And that's clever enough, but the game kind of looks a little bit messy. It didn't feel that... It didn't grab me that much. I think there's plenty of other roll and write style games that I like more than this one, but it's not bad. I reviewed Sweet Holic, which I also rate a 6 out of 10. This one is Rummy-esque a little bit. It's sort of a set collection game. You are building these macarons in front of you, and you are going to be playing 3 rounds of that and scoring the most points. There's a few issues with it. The game arc is very flat. You just play 3 rounds to play exactly the same. There is the possibility for a lot of ties in the game because the scores are, every time at the end of a round, if you're one of the top 3 players, you get 3 points or 2 or 1, and that's it. So lots of ties, no tiebreaker in there, but the game is adorable. It's a very cute game. It's one that I think is going to make a good gift. If somebody likes this theme, this is a nice one to put into a stocking or something. So there you go. I reviewed Surrealist Dinner Party, which I rate slightly more, 6.5 out of 10. This one's a very high concept sort of game. You're bringing these, writers and artists to a dinner party and then collecting tokens on their cards. It's a little slow pace. It feels very ponderous and kind of slow. Some of those cards have special abilities at the bottom and you get to trigger those. So there's a little bit of combo building in the game. But the game did feel a little too sort of low energy, low pace. There were no highs in the game. No moments in which you could look at someone across the table and go, that was a clever move right there. So I was missing that spark. And there's a deck of special cards you can choose to throw in and spice it up. And I didn't find them very spicy. They were very samey. They all scored bonus points off of one of the various kinds of tokens. So that's not exciting. Lastly, I reviewed with the rest of the fellas Brew, which I rated an 8 out of 10. And that's actually the high score at the table. But I really liked Brew. I thought it was a game that has a captivating little world, great artwork everywhere, and then this dice system in which you roll dice and use them to control locations. But also you can use them on this central board to collect more resources, to draft these forest animals that give you special abilities. Plenty going on in the game for one that is actually very few components. Now, the game is mean. There can definitely be a lot of direct player interaction, but it feels to me like it's no one taking your stuff. There is fighting for whose stuff this is going to eventually be. So it's not take that where you built up this tower and now I'm going to tear it down. We're just fighting over who gets the tower. And I'm okay with that. You want to go into it knowing that the game has that interaction, but I did not find it problematic. And that's it for me. I will see you on the next one.
Hey everyone, Chris Yee here. This week I looked at 3 games, the first of which was called Foto. This is a kids game that I gave a 6 kids rating. This was nominated for the Kinderspiel of 2020. It's a game about sliding around a little viewfinder, a little cardboard cutout of a camera, sliding it around to find exactly 2 fish that match the fish that were rolled on a pair of dice. Real time, people are racing to find them and yell, click, take the picture. It's cute, it's really fun, but it doesn't scale up very well for adults in difficulty. So I have to slow myself down a lot to play with my kid, but my 5-year-old specifically requested it again. Next up, I did a review of Meow. I gave this one also a 6 for kids. This is a trick-taking game. The rulebook specifically doesn't even use the term trick-taking because it's a very simple card game. One of the easiest. I think it'd be good if you're looking for an introductory card game, either for kids or honestly for adults as well. Lastly, I was part of the Foursquare's review for Brew. This is the Pandasaurus game. I gave this one a 6 also because it is not a game for me. It requires a little bit of meanness. When meanness happens to you, there's no, compensation, there's no conciliatory prize or anything like that. And so it's mean, but it's so smooth and very fun. I can't rate it any lower. I think it's a great design, but your tastes may vary. So anyway, that's been my week.
Hello everybody, this is Graeme Anderson, and this week I looked at Ruins of Mars. This is a fun game about deciphering alien languages on Mars and discovering their technologies. Now, I enjoyed my plays of this one, but my one big major complaint is actually the length of the game. I felt it needed to be shorter for the straightforward mechanisms it employed. And I gave this one a 7.5 out of 10. And that's it for this week.
Hey there everybody, it's Mike DiLisio, and this week I reviewed 2 games. First, as part of the Foursquare's review, I reviewed Brew, which is a card-based area control game. Well, I say card-based, but there's also quite a bit of dice involved too. It's probably more of a dice game than a card game. I don't know. I do know that I gave it a 7 out of 10. I liked a lot of what it did, but it's very, very mean. And I feel like for the type of art, the kind of welcoming look that it has, it might be off-putting to some people just because it can be so mean. But pretty solid game overall. Also, I reviewed Whale Riders, a Reiner Knizia set collection game where you are moving down an icy coast and buying goods and selling them. It has a really good sense of tempo and pacing. I gave that a 7.5 out of 10. I like it quite a bit. Beautiful art from Vincent Dutrait and a nice production from Grail Games. That is Whale Riders. Also, I did my first segment of the Rapid Fire Roundup where I took, I believe it was 9 games, and just gave my thoughts briefly on those. And so if you're interested, you can check that out as well. All right, well, that's it for me this week. Let's keep it moving.
All right, so for what I did, first we have Scrap Racers. I reviewed this with the kids, and none of us really liked it. It's a push your luck style game that was a racing game. It just did not really come together that well. I took a look at the Terraforming Mars big box, which I'm keeping. There's some cool things about it. It was a huge pain to fit everything in that box, to figure out how to do it. There was no instructions, and some of the stuff in there wasn't as good as the original, and some of the stuff I got off of Etsy. It was a disappointing thing that I'm still going to use grudgingly. It looks nice in the long run. Maharaja, this is the second reprinting from Cranio Creations, and Maharaja is a good game. They changed some rules here slightly I'm not as big of a fan of. But even if they didn't, the production value of this is really problematic from Cranio. Just wheels that spin to components that look cheap and plasticky. It's disappointing. Pirate Legends is a decent game for kids. It has almost a legacy style thing. Remove pirate ships around, collect tiles, put treasure on your island, bad stuff on other people's islands. Scapegoat is a game that, from reading the rules and looking at it, I don't like the way this cover or the game looks. I didn't think much of it. Yet another social deduction game, but this one is quite clever and it's short. Definitely worth checking out. Witchstone. I'm also not a fan of this theme or cover. It's very boring. But this new game, one of the 2 designers is Reiner Knizia. It is a point salad style game, and I think it works together really well. We all took a look at Brew. Brew is a really enjoyable game. It's very mean, very in your face, but I really like the dice placement and area control aspects of it. I went back in time and took a look at some classic games. Mamma Mia, a memory game from Uwe Rosenberg, which is really good, even if you don't like memory normally. And For Sale, one of the best short auction games in existence. Great card game. I did a video of 6 quick reviews of various games and sundries. I continued my shelf reviews. I did a video on different ways that dice are used in games. Me and the kids did a live play of the new expansion for Adventure Tactics, Dominator's Tower. And we did Shoots and Marbles, a boring unboxing, crowd surfing, and more. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. This is Week in Review. We'll see you next time on the Dice Tower.